So we are discussing other provisions of anti-avoidance. In this lecture, we are going to discuss section 94B, which is also known as the thin capitalization. Okay, thin capitalization, we will discuss that concept. So limitation of interest deduction in certain cases, and those cases are thin capitalization cases. Please understand, my dear friend, these multinational corporates, they are very smart in avoiding taxes. It's not ordinary transaction that they enter and anybody can capture. Imagine there is an associate enterprise in India, and these foreign associate enterprises, they wanted to invest 100 crore in India. This is what is their capital capacity. This much amount should have come to India as a capital, and in Indian associate enterprises, it should have reflect as a capital, and on this capital, Indian associate enterprise must have issued dividend to them. But if Indian entity give the dividend, there are 2-3 losses that you need to understand. Indian associate enterprise will not get deduction of this dividend. At the same time, this dividend is going to become taxable in the hands of the foreign associate enterprise. So can you see the mismatch? Indian entity is not getting the deduction, but the foreign entity is taxable. So they come up with an idea, instead of giving whole 100 crore as a capital, let us do something like this. Instead of giving 100% as a capital, let us give only 10 crore as a capital. So share capital will be only 10 crore and balance amount will be given as a loan from the holding company or associate enterprise of the foreign company. And whenever you pay interest on this particular loan, interest is a deductible expenditure in India, and anyhow it is going to become taxable in the hands of the foreigner. So dividend was also taxable and interest is also taxable. So far as non-resident entity is concerned, this foreign entity is concerned, we are not concerned whether it is the dividend or interest, because this particular entity may be located in low tax jurisdiction or no tax jurisdiction. And even if it is located in a taxable jurisdiction, please understand, even if it is located in taxable jurisdiction, it was supposed to pay tax on dividend and it is supposed to pay tax on interest. So it is indifferent whether it is dividend or interest. But so far as Indian entity is concerned, no deduction for dividend, but there will be high deduction for the interest, and therefore we are limiting the deduction on interest. We are not disallowing it, we are putting a limit. Like you might have known, in partnership firm section 40B, we say interest up to 12% per annum is allowed. More than 12% per annum is disallowed. Here we cannot put that kind of restriction because many countries are having different rate of interest. Like in European countries, the rate of interest is different. African countries, rate of interest is different. America, rate of interest is different, and therefore we cannot have a standard percentage written in the law. So we have linked the limit of interest with the profit of Indian entity, and that profit is EBITDA. I hope you know what is EBITDA, earning before interest, depreciation, tax and amortization. So maximum 30% of EBITDA is allowable deduction. If you pay more than 30% of EBITDA as an interest to outside India, then excess will be disallowed in the current year, but that's not a permanent disallowed, my dear friend. Anyhow, Indian entity have paid the interest on the legitimate loan, so we will allow you to carry forward that disallowed interest for 8 years, and in 8 years you can take the set off. Every year you will get a maximum deduction of 30% of EBITDA. This is the limitation that you should understand. So why do we call it thin capitalization? Thin capitalization means here loan is shown as equity. Here, the capital is shown as equity. So thin capitalization is almost like a capital but shown as a loan. So therefore it is known as thin capitalization. Preference of debt over equity as a measure to finance businesses. This is what they do. They don't consider equity, they are giving more preference to debt. Why? On equity, dividend is given, which is non-deductible expenditure, they don't like it. On debt, they are paying interest, and interest is the allowable expenditure. Debt and equity are instruments through which a company generally finance and capitalize. The manner in which companies capitalize has a major impact on amount of taxable profit, as tax laws of countries generally provide deduction in respect of interest paid or payable at the time of arriving at taxable profit. However, dividend paid on equity is not deductible. This is a major reason why they adopt this kind of tax avoidance measures. Therefore, higher level of debt in a company and thus the amount of interest it pays, lower will be the taxable income. More interest, low profit, because profit and interest are having adverse relationship. Due to this reason, debt is considered more tax efficient method to finance than equity. Multinational groups are often able to structure their financing arrangement to maximize the tax benefit. This is the proven fact now, and every country is struggling. Tax rules to prevent shifting profit through the excessive payments. In order to address this issue, tax rules are in place in each country to fix the ceiling limit. Ceiling limits means upper limit, cap, okay, on the amount of interest deductible in computing the company's profit for the tax purpose. Such rules are designed to counter the cross-border shifting of the profit through excessive interest payment with the objective of protecting country's tax base. So it is anti-base erosion and profit shifting action plan provided by OECD. The relevant action plan by the plan of base erosion and profit shifting under initiative of G20 countries, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development in its base erosion and profit shifting project had taken up the issue of a base erosion and profit shifting by way of excess interest deduction by multinational enterprises. This action plan number 4, we will discuss this action plan again in base erosion chapter, but here I don't want to lose it here and go there. So I am covering here as well as there. Okay. A recommended certain measures of the final report. According to that particular recommendation, we have inserted this section in 94B in our income tax law. Insertion of provision of Income Tax Act 1961 in line with action plan 4. Section 94B has accordingly been inserted in Income Tax Act in line with recommendation of OECD BEPS action plan 4 to provide that interest expenses claimed by the entity and to its associate enterprises shall not be deductible in computing the income under the head PGBP to the extent that is excess interest. And how do we compute excess interest? Excess interest shall mean total interest paid or payable. So actual interest compare with in excess of 30% of earning before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization known as EBITDA of the borrower of the previous year, or actual interest paid whichever is less. Obviously, we have to take 30% of EBITDA and then we have to check the excess or actual interest, whichever is lower. We will do the practical question. Total interest paid or payable may be interpreted as interest paid or payable to non-resident associate enterprises as per the intent expressed in 94B and also the explanatory memorandum of the finance bill. So total interest means which interest, whether it covers any interest paid to Indian bank also. So they are saying no, you should interpret as a interest paid to the NR non-resident associate enterprise. So that is just the interpretational matter. Applicability. Sir, is it applicable to each and every foreign loan which has been taken from associate enterprises? Obviously, we are not targeting or not hunting a small players in the market. We are targeting big MNCs. Therefore, 1 crore is the exception. It is applicable to all transactions, but it is not applicable. However, the provision of this section would be applicable only where expenditure by way of interest of similar nature exceeds 1 crore. If it is up to 1 crore in your profit and loss account, this is not applicable. This is one of the important multiple choice question. You can say threshold. If your interest is up to 1 crore, provision is not applicable. Interest more than 1 crore, provision will be applicable on total interest. Meaning of debt, any kind of loan. Any loan, financial instrument, finance lease, financial derivatives or any arrangement that gives rise to interest, discount or other finance charges that are deductible while computing PGBP. It's not equity, other than equity, anything. Okay. Provisions of guarantee and deposits of matching amount deemed to be the debt issued. What happens sometimes they don't give the directly because they have captured the associate enterprise. They don't do the direct transaction with AE. This AE will give the deposits to some other organization, third party. We will call it third party, and this third party will give loan to India. This is the indirect loan given to India. This is also captured. It is the deemed that the loan is taken from the ultimate associate enterprises. Where the debt is issued by a lender which is not an associate enterprises but an associate enterprise either provides implicit or explicit guarantee to such lender, either it has given the guarantee or deposits a corresponding and matching amount of fund with the lender of such debt, okay, shall be deemed to have been issued by associate enterprise. So we will consider indirect transfer is also a loan taken from the associate enterprises. So carry forward. If imagine my EBITDA, earning before interest, depreciation and tax, okay, tax and amortization is 100 crore. The limit will be, maximum limit, the cap will be 30 crore, which is 30% of EBITDA. If I have actually paid interest 25 crore, no problem at all, fully allowed. But if I have actually paid 32 crore, so how much extra paid? 2 crore extra paid, isn't it? 2 crore extra paid will be disallowed. But is it a permanent disallowance, sir? No, this is a temporary disallowance. Government is allowing you to carry forward this excess 2 crore, and next year you can check with your limit. If it is within limit, next year again the same data, 100 crore and 30 crore is the limit, but next year you have paid only 20 crore as the interest. So you can take next year's 20 crore plus brought forward 2 crore, total deduction 22 crore. So next year you can claim if you can set off. So what if I am not able to set off in next year? Then take over for 1 more year, then 1 more year, maximum 8 years. The disallowed interest expenses can be carried forward up to 8 assessment years, immediately succeeding the assessment year for which disallowance was first made, and claim as a deduction again the PGBP to the extent of maximum allowable interest expenditure. So in that year we have to check the limit and we will take the deduction in the year of set off. Sir, business is excluded from applicability of section 94B. So banking and insurance business, please understand, banking and insurance business is excluded. Obviously for banking business and insurance business, we don't want to levy the extra burden of this interest payment, because in banking and insurance business lot of money transaction happens. We consider these people are doing the genuine transaction, therefore they are excluded. So banking and insurance companies are excluded from the heat of section 94B. One question for our understanding. NP Limited Indian company has borrowed 80 crore as on 1/4/2020 from TL Inc., a company incorporated in London, at an interest rate of 10% per annum. The said loan is repayable over a period of 5 years. Further, the loan is guaranteed by ST Incorporated in UK. So, are you getting this? Indian company is what? In India we are having NP. NP has taken loan from whom? TL. But this loan was backed by ST. ST Incorporated in UK. Messrs. Tweed Incorporation, a non-resident, holds shares 40% of voting power in NP. So there is one common owner, he holds 40% in India, and ST Limited, he holds 40% here, meaning thereby one particular person is controlling this entity as well as this entity, meaning thereby NP and ST are associate enterprises, but loan is taken from TL. But TL has given you loan on the guarantee of ST, so this is the indirect loan taken from associate enterprises. In the first paragraph, they are trying to confuse you. Don't get confused. It's very simple. To associate enterprise, if they directly take the loan, it was captured. So they have tried to take it indirectly. Even that is captured under 94B now. Net profit. We don't want net profit. We want EBITDA, but they have given us net profit. Net profit for the previous year 2021 was 7 crore. After debiting the above interest, so what will be the interest? 80 crore plus into 10% is equal to 8 crore. This we will reverse, we will add back because we want to reach to EBITDA. Depreciation of 6 crore, add back. Income tax of 4 crore, add back. Calculate the amount of interest to be disallowed under the here PGBP. Give the appropriate reason. If Indian company being the borrower incurs any expenditure by way of interest in respect of any debt issued by its non-resident associate enterprises, and such interest exceed 1 crore, obviously in this case interest is exceeding 8, like it is 8 crore exceeding 1 crore, then the interest paid or payable by such Indian company in excess of 30% of its earning before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization, which is EBITDA, or interest paid or payable to associate enterprises, whichever is lower. So either 30% or actual interest, whichever is lower, shall not be allowed as a deduction. So what will be allowed as a deduction? Actual interest or 30% of EBITDA will be allowed as a deduction. So what will not be allowed as a deduction? So excess amount or excess amount. How do we compute excess amount? Difference between these two, or actual interest, whichever is lower, is a disallowed. Okay. Look at this example. Further, where the debt is issued by a lender which is not an associate enterprises, but an associated enterprises either provides implicit or explicit guarantee to such lender or deposits a corresponding and matching amount of fund with the lender, such debt shall be deemed to have been issued by associate enterprises, and the limitation of interest would be applicable. In the present case, Messrs. Tweed Inc. hold 40% voting power, that is more than 26% in NP Limited and ST Limited. Therefore, these both are deemed to be associate enterprises. Since the loan of 80 crore is taken from NP Limited, an Indian company, from the TL Inc., which is guaranteed by ST, guaranteed by associate, an associate enterprise of NP Limited, such debt shall be deemed to have been issued by an associate enterprises, and interest payable by TL Inc. shall be considered for the purpose of limitation for capping under section 94B. So how do we compute amount disallowed? That is very simple. Take the net profit 7 crore, add 8 crore as the interest, add depreciation, add income tax, 25 crore is your EBITDA. When EBITDA is 25 crore and actual interest paid is 8 crore, you take 30% of EBITDA. 30% of EBITDA is 7.5 crore. Actually, you have paid 8 crore. Obviously, whichever is lower is allowed. So, how much is disallowed? Excess or actual interest? Look at the format. The lower of these two will be disallowed. Excess. How do we compute excess? Actual interest paid and 30% of EBITDA. Obviously, actual interest has to be more than 30% of EBITDA, then only this provision is applicable. So, this 50 lakh rupees or actual interest. Obviously, disallowance cannot be more than actual interest. Therefore, we are always comparing actual interest. This disallowance cannot be more than this. This amount is 8 crore. The disallowance cannot be 10 crore, isn't it? Therefore, we are comparing these two, whichever is lower. So, 50 lakh rupees will be disallowed. I hope you understood this. Sir, is it permanent disallowed? No. It can be carried forward for 8 years and set off in the future year when your actual interest is less than 30% of EBITDA. Thank you.